Morning. Let's go. We're done.
Can you update us on any of the injury situations as to who you expect to practice today?
As far as the injury report goes, on the guys that are a little more long term or a little more week to week, there's really no updates on those guys. I mean, DeSean, like the Darbys and guys like that. Maddox, Timmy. I mean, those guys. DeSean, we're going to try to at least progress him this week, try to get him on the field, see what he can do from a rehab standpoint only, see where he's at, and go from there. And the other guys, we'll practice.
When you say get him on the field, you mean like just
rehab,
okay.
just aside from us.
Gotcha.
Just,
Are there any benchmarks that Sean needs to hit, from a health standpoint that would show he's progressing?
I'm not familiar with the injury that he has, but I would think with a guy like DeSean, who's he's a track guy, he's a runner. Obviously, he's got to have a level of comfort with that injury. All the stopping and starting and things of that nature. So it's really until I think he gets to that point that we make a decision.
Doug, these next few opponents, actually probably the next 6, have really good defenses, maybe even better than what you faced with the Jets. So what's it going to take to kind of put together a complete game offensively?
Well, thanks for reminding me. We just focus one at a time, honestly. We're focused on the Vikings this week. This is a really good opponent. Good test, good defense, good offense. They're well coached. They're a disciplined group. But this is the start of kind of that run you're talking about for us. And if you want to get to where you want to get to at the end of the year, these are games that are sort of benchmark games for us. And, great game plan, both sides of the ball, really all 3 phases. Players got to execute that game plan. We got to handle, crowd noise this week, loud stadium, obviously. So it's got to be a great week of preparation. Guys got to be dialed in.
Doug, obviously Sidney's hamstrings are a recurring issue the last couple of years. What can you guys do preventively to try to reduce them or eliminate them? Is there anything he can do?
I think as from a player standpoint, I think sometimes too you sort of have to push yourself. You got to break through that threshold. You got to push yourself through that and feel that level of comfort as an athlete. And then we monitor these guys, every day with the amount of running and conditioning. Sometimes it's even extra conditioning, for guys as they are healthy and can do that, just to stay on top of this stuff. And everybody's built a little bit differently. Body gets tugged and pulled in different ways, but we do everything we can through our medical staff to keep them healthy and try to prevent as best we can.
At this point, how much do you have to worry about his confidence, being that he hasn't been able to stay on the field?
Yeah, it's something that we got to keep in mind. Because you don't want the player, in this case Sidney, focused on the injury. Because then it doesn't allow him to play or play fast. So we have to make sure that, and he has to make sure that he's 100% before we put him back out there so that he can be confident, in his ability.
To follow up on Jordan Howard from what you said Monday, his role had seemed to increase these past 2 games especially. Are you viewing it like what you saw these past 2 games is what's going to happen going forward, or do you expect it to grow even more?
Yeah, I'm kind of viewing it as whoever kind of gets the hot hand and how the game kind of unfolds with the style of running that we do. I mean, we've got we've talked about this before. We've got runs built for, and everybody can do the run game plan. It's not like they can't, but we have certain runs for certain guys. And, it's just happened that the last couple, the way the defenses have played, that Jordan's kind of gotten more of the touches. But it takes nothing away from Miles. Miles is very capable of doing that. We're comfortable with Miles, very confident with Miles. He might be a little better in the passing game than say Jordan is. So, we've used him there as well. But sometimes it's a hot hand. But all our guys are very capable of handling the load.
Has Jordan exceeded what you expected of him coming into the year?
No, this is what we expected of him when we got him. Yeah.
Doug, what's a key or two to be successful against Mike Zimmer defenses have you found?
I think one, this is it's an aggressive style of play, meaning the front 4 guys really get after the passer, being able to protect Carson. not only on first and second down, but he's got a pretty extensive blitz package on third down, and how he can rush, unique ways of rushing the passer on third down. So being able to protect Carson, and then I think the other key really is you got to be positive on your plays. Have got to be positive on first down, and so it's an area that we kind of struggled at the beginning of the season. We've gotten better here recently, but staying ahead of those chains, keeping yourself in second and shorter distances where you're going to get that first down and stay on the field. Try to, the best you can, eliminate as many third and long situations against this defense, against his scheme, and those give you a chance to possibly win.
Doug, when you give Carson freedom at the line to check the plays, et cetera, is that only in tempo?
No, it's in other areas, yes.
And how many plays how much freedom is he given? Is it just like a one or two plays, or is it?
I mean, it could be many. I would say looking, in a normal game plan week, you're probably looking at 5 or 6 that we because the formation might dictate a certain way, and but just giving him an opportunity to put us into a better play. But it's not a lot, because we don't want to bog him down mentally that he's thinking too much up there. We want him just to play and react.
Doug, just following up on Sidney, when you say push through the threshold, what do you exactly mean by that?
Well, I think sometimes with an injury, I don't care what type of injury, you get to that point where you just got to, through your rehab and conditioning, you've kind of, you got to push yourself, and you got to bust through and say, okay, I feel good, and I still might be a little sore, but I feel good. And so that's kind of what I mean by that, just kind of that threshold where you kind of break through the glass and you're on the other side of it. And then once you get to that point, all the mental stuff goes away, and now you can just focus on ball again.
To follow up on that autonomy at the line of scrimmage for Carson, does that change home versus road? Does it become more difficult?
It's difficult, especially we know we've got these 2 dome games coming up. Atlanta was a challenge with the dome game, being able to do with the communication, with the noise, but we're still going to give him these checks and audibles to do. It's one of the strengths that I think our offense has been able to handle crowd noise well, and use of nonverbal communication with signals and things like that. But we still want to be able to take advantage if we can, and put ourselves in a situation that can be successful.
Is there any sense of nostalgia going back to Minneapolis, considering what happened the last time you guys were there?
No, I mean, I remember my days even in Green Bay. We'd go over to the Metrodome there and play, and that place would be rocking and shaking. And you watch the video on Monday, and it was, crowd is loud, and the guy on the motorcycle is running around and riding his bike, and it's a great place. I mean, it's a great place, and obviously, we had success the last time, but this is different. This is the crowd's going to be different. The environment's going to be different. It's a noon game. We got to get ourselves ready to play a good football team, and obviously the crowd will be in their favor.
With Dan banged up a little bit, do you expect Corey to get involved in the offense a little more? And then, secondly, with the couple fumbles he had on the kick and the punt, you kind of just view those as fluky a little bit with the him banging up the shoulder, and then the looking at thinking some guy making a teammate touch the ball. Do you kind of view those as more?
Yeah, I think that's just just a product of just the ball bounced an awkward way the other day. He thought that it possibly got touched, and so he's trying to make a play, in that situation. So, we chalk it up to that. As far as the game plan, Corey's, up to speed with everything we're doing. I would expect him to fully understand and grasp the game plan this week. With where Darren is right now, we got to get him ready to play.
Who is your punt returner right now?
You. We're going to work a couple guys there this week.
You don't know yet?
I do.
Okay. Figured as much.
Yeah.
Doug,
On Monday, you mentioned Dalvin Cook. Your interest, or the Eagles' interest in him, has been well chronicled. How close were you guys to getting him, and what was your read on him going into the draft?
Yeah, we were close, right there at that time. I just remember going back and watching him coming out in the draft and studying him a little bit. Really liked his explosiveness. Not only with the ball in his hands, but he was also a good catch. He catch the ball out of the backfield, and there was a lot of explosive plays, on his tape. So, was real comfortable with him, and yeah, we were close to pulling the trigger on that one.
When you went through the evaluation period of whether to bring a trade for DeSean, how much did his injury history factor into the decision to bring here? He hadn't played in a 16-game season, I think, only once or twice in his career.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of it, but it's not what makes or breaks the deal. We know the type of player that we were getting, the explosiveness, an electric player that wanted to be back in Philly. But yeah, the injury part, didn't factor into it much at all.
With that said, how are you seeing teams playing you knowing that there's not much of a threat over the top? Are they being more aggressive, challenging one-on-one?
No, I mean, they're playing their defense, honestly. They still got to account for Alshon and Nelly and, of course, the two tight ends that we have. And then, the success of the run game, they just continue to play their defense. I would say the only team that really kind of got out of, and really not got out, is in their nature, was Detroit, where they doubled Zach on third downs. They didn't want Zach to really, get going. They doubled him in the red zone. But other than that, teams have really been just kind of sticking to their game plan. Okay? Thank you, guys.